Hello, this is the Tradesight Forex Market Preview and International Economic Data Roadmap for the week beginning Sunday, the 22nd of June, 2014, and ending Friday, the 27th. We are fast approaching, unbelievably, the halfway point through the year. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal 11. Here's a look at the dollar index daily chart. Boy, don't confuse yourself as we drop off months prior. If I zoom this chart just down to let's say the last 9 months or so, if you think this is a normal range for the dollar index back and forth like this, it is not. The fact that we are so narrowly contained in about a 2-point range for most of that period, and the one time we swept the lows, we immediately bounced and ended up right back in the middle of this range. It's horrible. Not much to say in terms of action. Anything that's set up, just can't do much range-wise here. Here's a look at the dollar index weekly chart. I backed it out a little bit. The last weekly sell signal we had was back in July of 2012. The 13 signal up here, that was the top there. But overall, realistically, Forex market's been pretty flat, at least in terms of the dollar index. Basically a 6-point range between 84 and 78 here since January of 2012, even before that, really, a little bit before that, maybe November 2011. That's pretty narrow. If I go back before that, you'll see it used to get much wider ranges in the Forex market. So that's what we're missing right now, and it's just gotten, you can see the most recent stuff, it's just so narrow. And that's what's just keeping the Forex market from being interesting. So it is, I would say right now, it's the third asset class I look at to trade. My size has been down since last August when it got bad. But really, I thought even after we lowered our size and ranges were bad for last summer in August, we still had good months in August, September, October, November, December of last year. Then things got a little slow a couple of the early months of this year. So I think this year's got still the second half obviously coming up. Summer's not probably where we're going to pick up, but hopefully we've got some better months ahead still. But right now, I concentrate a lot more on stocks and futures. Stocks, of course, primarily been very good for making money in stocks lately, but futures have been improving off and on. For a while, it was Forex over futures. Right now, I think it's definitely futures over Forex. All right, let's take a look at the euro against the dollar. Again, not much to say here. Near recent lows, but in a range from the last 8 months, just like the dollar index would be. Here's a look at the pound. I will point out that the pound had a Comer sell signal this week. Comer 13 sell signal on the daily charts. I'll put the Comer up here real quick just so you can see it. There it is, the 13, and we're using the risk level from that. That's a long coming Comer count. That started, the 9-bar setup for that was back in February. We had the 12 in early May and just now got the 13 this week. So be aware of that. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to move the market back the other way, but it certainly is an important signal. And for it to head downward, that would be for strength in the dollar. Here's a look at the Aussie. Nice cup forming here. If it could break out to the upside, I think that could actually be a powerful move, but that's an if at this point in time. And here's the New Zealand. You saw the 13 sell signals. The two that you can see here on the chart, one last October and one in April, both of them pegged the highs for a while on the New Zealand. All right, let's take a look now at the intra-week action. We'll go back to the euro in 30-minute bars. So you can see what we covered for the week. Barely you can see last Sunday's or last Friday's close and then Sunday's open here. So we ended up, total range for the week on the euro dollar is only 130 pips. And most of these days are very light, obviously. We didn't have a lot of trades in the euro this week. We did more in the pound. But 130 pips total for the week. Used to be 130 pips was average per day. So that's obviously poor. Here's a look at the pound. We had a couple of winners here this week. Net gain for the week here is about 40 pips. High to low is about 140 pips. Again, that's usually average daily range over the 10-year average. So this is still very narrow ranges in this market. We'll take a quick look at the Aussie dollar, which didn't do much except for the one news spike. Overall, 100 pip range there for the week. And the pound yen, not very exciting either, about 100 pips of range there. So I wouldn't say anything to really get your heart thumping here in any of these Forex pairs this last week. Here's the dollar index. Some of these bars, these are 30-minute bars on the dollar index that almost don't even tick. It's been really painful to watch that. All right, so moving forward, let's see what we've got. We've got Sunday, we've got visitor arrivals out of New Zealand, flash manufacturing PMI out of Japan, HSBC flash manufacturing out of China, credit card spending out of New Zealand. We've got on Monday, the French and German and broad European flash services PMI data and manufacturing PMI data. That's all in a row there at 3, 3:30, and 4 a.m. Eastern Time Monday morning. We've got the same out of the U.S. here at 9:45 a.m. on Monday, and then existing home sales here in the U.S. CB leading index out of China. Going into Tuesday, we've got trade balance out of Switzerland, German IFO business climate. We've got mortgage approvals out of the UK, speech out of a Fed member, Belgian NBB business climate out of Europe. And then here Tuesday, here in the U.S., the HPI, the S&P Composite 20 HPI, consumer confidence number, new home sales, a speech out of the Treasury Secretary, Richmond Manufacturing Index. That jumps you to Tuesday evening in Japan. The CSPI number comes out. UBS consumption indicator out of Switzerland, German consumer climate out of Europe, Italian retail sales, CBI realized sales out of the UK. We've got durable goods and the final look at GDP. That's not a big market mover. Wednesday morning here in the US, and then a flash services PMI data and crude oil inventories. We skip 17 hours ahead with no data from 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time Wednesday until 3:30 a.m. Eastern Time Thursday morning to the Switzerland's quarterly bulletin, which isn't even a big number. Another 2 hours, really nothing there either. So it's we go almost 24 hours without data. 22 hours between data points globally. That's pretty big. The weekly unemployment claims data, personal income and spending, core PC price index. That's all at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. Natty gas 2 hours later. Trade balance out of New Zealand that night. Tokyo does their data dump, household spending, Tokyo core CPI, their national CPI number, unemployment rate, and then their retail sales. That leads into Friday. German import prices, German preliminary CPI, French consumer spending, Spanish flash CPI. We've got the UK's final GDP for Q1 and their current account, index of services, revised business investment, Italian 10-year bond auction, EU economic sentiment, and then Canada's RMPI and IPPI, and Michigan sentiment numbers out of the U.S. So there is some data this week. None of it's any of our big three. There's no Fed announcement. There's no first look at GDP. It's a clean week from that perspective. If there's a focal point, it's hard to pick it. We are starting a new quarterly options cycle and futures cycle here. And we are approaching the end of quarter, which will be a week from Monday. But other than that, it's very hard to pick one point that I would be focused on. And usually we try to do that because we like to try to see where the most likely point of the week is to make money. But given the ranges lately, it's hard to get overly focused on that. It's kind of mercurial, if you will, on the Forex. So we will call it as we see it and be making trades in the trading lab. Hope to see you there. Hope to make some money. Have a great week and weekend.